Hello and welcome to
Tule.
Skin Diligent Longevity Lounge.
Hi.
So today we are discussing longevity and our mental health. But as always, we're going to play a game first. Confessions. Never have I ever prioritized work or social life over sleep.
Oh,
God, come on, ladies. Oof. Yeah,
So much.
It's not what I
The
thought.
first 30 years of my
I'm
mission.
keeping my hand up for all of this, okay? Because I've read them. You haven't.
You're just going to keep your hand up.
Put your hands down.
Okay.
Answered emails when I should have been switching off.
No, yeah. How can we? Yeah.
Ignored the signs of burnout until my body forced me to slow down. I mean, ladies, this is bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's bad.
this is modern life.
So first question, how do you think our relationship with our appearance affects our mental well-being? Julia?
Well, as somebody who has been on UK television for the last 30 years, I wasn't very aware of it when I was younger, because I think when you're younger, you're full of confidence and you know everything. You can get through everything. You're indestructible. And as I've got older, there was a real section where I noticed this focus on how we look and how we look on television. And there was a lot of stuff in the papers about all of that. Oh, looking good or long legs. And
Picking on people.
So many, and I had so many reviews of me about how I looked or how long my eyelashes were or how long my legs were, or not about the work that I was doing. So I'm very comfortable now with my appearance, and I think the experience of life has got me to a place where actually I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm feeling healthy. I think I look all right for my age, and
You look fantastic.
just very comfortable in this space. I mentally, for my emotional health, it's something that I've worked on. I've actually started working a lot on my emotional health since a breast cancer diagnosis in 2021. And it's made me ask questions of myself and really self-inquiry, which I would encourage everybody to participate more in. I put my hands, my head in my hands when I see a lot of young women, not exclusively, but mostly, who to me now all look the same or are all chasing the same aesthetic. And I think we've lost individuality. And I remember my mum always saying to me when I was little about my big nose, she was like, it's character. You've got really good character and you're beautiful. You've got lovely eyes. Don't, be proud of who you are.
Yeah.
And I don't know that we are emotionally and mentally proud of who we are anymore. I think there's this big push on people to look a particular way, and that's really damaging to our
I was going
mental
to
health.
say to that, I think that's just, again, maybe it's quite a sort of British thing. We don't celebrate enough of anything, really. I think we're very, it seems big-headed perhaps if we do. So I think we just sort of follow a trend
I
like
think
that.
it's just British. I think it's general.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
I think your question about do we answer emails when we
Yes.
shouldn't be? We're so connected to this mobile phone.
Yeah, okay.
This is the problem.
It's a real issue, and we see it among my young children. My children were not that young, but my children. We can see how they are completely wired to consider the way they look. It's not even a second thought for them. It's
so
just
sad
part
though,
of,
isn't it?
Absolutely. But this is the reality of the young people today. So
Social
I was
media
going to
has-
say, so actually in that case, how does our mindset influence, I suppose, and then bringing social media into that, influence the way we experience aging?
I think that's the problem, though. We're living in a world where expectations are unrealistic. And this is fueling epidemic of mental health issues because of the way people look. Children are wanting eyelash extensions at 30, nails, all of these things, products on their face, because everyone else has and because they all want to look the same. And actually, I'm seeing more and more mental health issues in people of all ages, and actually body image and your actual aesthetic appearance has come back to showing your value. And that's not what it is. We got to a point where beauty was inside and outside, and we're going backwards, it feels like, to beauty being on the outside. And so there is more anxiety and depression and insecurity and people wanting to be that person, that aspiration. And we have a responsibility to really try and change the narrative of this. And it's really hard with children. They spend more time looking at themselves in a phone or in the mirror than we ever did.
or looking at other people. It's the comparison. It's the thief of joy. They're scrolling and they're seeing all these other images.
But it's also the adults because we talked about earlier. We were talking about earlier how tweakments, which you consider doing tweakments. There are people who go to get injections and even lifting because they're afraid their partners may leave them. Or men now are known to go more and more to do this lifting because they are afraid of losing their jobs. So I think the reasons why people do these things need to be respected. So even though it could be toxic, it may not be the most healthiest thing you do, but if it's giving them some peace of mind and some mental health balance, I think it's okay. So it's such an individual decision to be had. And this discussion really goes back to when we first started, we were helping with acne issues. And a lot of the people were going for, Roaccutane and all this and said, oh my God, how can you do Roaccutane? But now I understand why people go to Roaccutane. It's because you are so wrapped around the idea that you don't have this confidence to show in the world because of something that is on your face.
Self-worth.
That's right. You can tackle this, whether it's toxic or not. If it's helping you, you can at least have that confidence to face the world.
Yeah.
So I think it's a real balance. It's not just about eat clean and, stay clean. It's also that mental health is...
Well, I was going to say, kind of bringing that forwards as well into sort of perhaps our generation where people might not feel represented. And obviously that can have a massive impact on our mental well-being. We've talked about food, we've talked about exercise, we've talked about skin. How, there's a lot of conversations around dementia, particularly in women. And obviously we know that our mental health can have a massive impact on our brain health. So we might all fear dementia. I know that's only one of my fears. Yeah. What can we do to age better mentally?
So I think what we've got to be doing is having these conversations, having these talks. We need to be exercising the brain. So we talk about exercising everything else. Exercise your brain. So my dad's 80 this year. He gets up, he does his Sudoku, he does his puzzles, he does the crossword every single morning because he's very aware that if you don't use it, you lose it. Mm-hmm. You want to be making sure your diet is full of polyphenols, so all the brightly coloured vegetables and fruit that help with the brain health, omega-3s, olive oil, flax seeds, oily fish if you eat it. We want to be getting outside, exercising. We know that connection, actually isolation, can actually bring on cognitive decline. So we need to be really thinking about this whole variety of things, sleep, and prioritising this to improve our brain health. And we've got to be thinking actively about these things because that decline will creep up on us gradually.
And this is something you've spoken about before, Anisha. The gut health is so important for our mental health. And something that you didn't mention in that very good run through is sugar. I talked to Robert Lustig in my book, Hack Yourself Healthy, and he is Mr. Sugar is damaging us and it is toxic and we really don't pay enough attention. And of course, it's not one sweet here and there. It's the amount of sugar that we are now consuming on a global scale. We should be eating, this much, and we're eating this much on a daily basis because it's everywhere. It's hidden away into foods, and treats and snacks are sold as treats and snacks that we should be eating every single day now of our lives. And sleep is obviously another really important thing. Affects your gut health and affects your mental health. And we make worse decisions when we don't have sufficient sleep.
Yeah, totally.
Tell you what,
there's another point about the epigenetics, again, going back to epigenetics, how stress is such an important factor in how your body's capacity to heal. And in the case of Parkinson, for example, there is now new studies coming out that is showing, of course, there was some toxin like fertilizers or something that could have provoked, but it's also the stress, the cortisols and all this accumulation of stress that you haven't managed that combines it into this.
But it causes inflammation, doesn't it? So we know that chronic
stress is an important factor. And when you look at epigenetics, it's not just stress, but it's also the trauma. We have so much trauma in our life. Yeah. We need to work those things out.
Well, and that's
find that peace of mind.
Cortisol level, and it just
you mentioned before, you've mentioned that your shift work, it was very stressful, and it drove you to make bad food choices because you're on the move, you're on the run, you don't know what to do, and you're stressed.
And I'm sleep deprived.
So you've got, there's a perfect storm.
It is.
Yeah.
So on that note, what is one self-care habit that helps you protect your mental well-being? Who's going to go for that?
I'll go. For me, it's been learning to take time out of every day. You could call it to meditate, or to have some quiet space, or to just be alone with my thoughts. But I do that twice a day. I bookend my day with some moment of calm and peace, and I look at my heart rate and I try and get my resting heart rate to its lowest possible position. And I do that in the morning with sunlight in my eyes, and I do it in the evening with my legs up against the wall. So I bookend my day.
Insight into your life.
So, when I say that, I mean resting against the wall. That sounded a bit rude, it's as in lying on
With your feet up,
my little
yeah.
shakti mat with my feet up.
Yeah.
And
So that's really interesting. I'm the complete opposite. So I need, for my mental health, I need to have my movement with a bit of connection in nature. It's very demanding, but I try and book in those little 20, 30-minute walks. I don't need much, with a friend that lives round the block, outside, rain, shine. And for me, there is nothing better that sets my day up and puts me forward facing, and I love it.
For me, it's really all about being happy. And that may sound I love that. Strange in a context of longevity, but in order to reach happiness, it requires so much work. And, that work starts by understanding my little traumas, working through my traumas, working through my relationship with my parents, working through all these issues in order to go find that peace of mind.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing for me that gives me that I can actually cope with all the stress, my daily work-related stress and, world stress. That is my little yin and yang.
Amazing.
Really made me
I
think
was gonna say,
about
thank
that.
you. Thank you for sharing that, because I think there's a lot around happiness and joy, and I think that those two things can really help when it comes to your mental well-being. So thank you for that honesty, and what a great conversation that was.
Yeah.
Thanks,
and you're so right with the whole nature thing. It was the one thing I promised myself when I came home from my diagnosis. Every day
Every day.
I will be outside.
Doesn't matter.